You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion. Delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guests.
I'm cuckoo and you're cuckoo, so let's take a chance. You and you dance. Well, I'm cuckoo and you're cuckoo. Sing la 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 la.
I think they're both cuckoo. I'm just throwing that out there. Jim Norton, Blake Vartanian, Realty Pro 100. Welcome.
Thank you, Ron.
You know something? I think I've got another song just for you guys. There it is.
I got a bad feeling about this.
That's probably true.
And
it's Monday.
And it's Monday.
Yeah, we're in trouble.
Yeah, we're in serious trouble. Hey, let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, we're celebrating today. National Jim Norton. Oh, no, it says National Mutt Day. That was not. Just throw that out there.
All right.
World Ranger Day. Okay.
What's a World Ranger Day?
Park
Ranger.
Park Ranger.
Okay. I was thinking the truck.
Truck. That'll be obsolete soon.
A Ford train.
They're not going to have those very long.
Oh, okay.
I'll explain that in just a minute.
Please do.
National Avocado Day. I like avocados. Just part of the Biden economy. We're hearing how good that is. Avocados, have you seen that over at Chipotle now? They've got a machine to get the avocados and clean them and get rid of the seed and make the guacamole. No more people. Kind of what's going to be happening to a lot of industries. Well, we broadcast not far from Anaheim. Think about all the businesses that are going out of business soon in Anaheim just because of a special election that's coming up. Now, almost every entertainment center will have to leave the city of Anaheim. Every one of them. Well, except Disney, of course. $25 an hour minimum wage. It's on the ballot. Just throw that out there for you. National Raspberry Cake Day. Now, maybe those people will be able to go to work for Yellow Freight. Well, maybe not because they're going out of business too. We'll talk about that as well. Raspberry Cake Day. I like that one as well. There's not a whole lot of cakes that I don't like. Let's take a look and see what the markets are doing today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, it's pretty flat, up 6.31. S&P 500 up 1.27. NASDAQ up 15.2. The only thing that's going up significantly, once again, oil. How should we even look at what gas prices are doing, being that I think it's 7 or 8 days in a row that we're seeing gas prices on the rise. Let's see what they look like. Go back. Well, we don't want to go back to the start of the Biden administration because that might shed light on what's really happening nowadays. 1 year ago, 561. We're heading there right now for the state of California. Right now, $5 a gallon is the average. $4.99.8. That's about as close to $5 as you get. And continuing, I think it's 7 days in a row, gas prices are going up. National average is $3. Oh, national average, where is it? $3. It's Monday, right? $3.75, $3.75 a gallon for gasoline is the national average. Josh, you've finally gone up a little bit, $3.27 out there in Nevada, or $3.28. Still way better than us here in California. I don't even want to. Washington, $4.95. I guess the cap and trade is not going up as fast as California regulation because we've passed Washington now. almost $5 a gallon, $4.99.8. Jody's at $3.82. Brittany's at $3.94. And of course, Lori's always leading the way. Our tremendous underwriter, $3.35.5 a gallon, right there in Louisiana. I watch and see. Have anybody watched the president's daily schedule? They put out a calendar every day of what's on the presidential schedule. And right around, he gets his morning security briefing every day. First thing for him in the morning. It's probably around 10 or 11 o'clock Washington time. And you know what else is on his calendar? Almost the same amount of stuff is on Jim Norton's calendar. Nothing.
Hey, wait a minute. I've got things to do.
You got things to do. He's got a lot to do. Okay. So, but
I'm hanging out with Blake.
Well,
I'm not gonna load my own gun and shoot it.
Nothing like a little air superiority.
So now only Jim, you can get away with this one. So
I can't.
The president has been in office about 2.5 years. 2.5 years, if we do the math on that, which I can't because I don't have a calculator, 352 days of vacation time in 2.5 years.
I saw that.
40% of the time on vacation. Of course, then again, he gets paid for it, or at least his son pays him for it. I don't know how that's exactly working. Not like,
moving money around is exhausting.
It's tiring, exactly, especially when you're trying to hide it. And you got 387,000 new IRS workers that are all searching for it at the same time.
I don't think they're looking.
They're probably not looking for their money. They're looking for our money.
Trust me, they're not looking.
Especially conservative radio hosts. They like us especially. Well, let's see about this one. I did mention a little bit earlier about gas prices. Well, we may not have to worry about it much longer because new proposals coming out from the Biden administration. Are you ready for this one? Proposals to increase the fuel efficiency. Standard cars by 2% a year and 4% for light trucks. Now, the auto industry says they don't have the knowledge of how to do this other than electric vehicles, which Ford loses $700 on every one of them. I wonder if they can make that up by volume. Only the government could come up with something along those lines. Unbelievable how they continue going on with these same concepts where they think that, the administration says, well, you go do it, and then tell somebody else to figure out how to do it. Other than moving money, I'm not sure Biden knows how to do anything. Well, sleep or, I'm not even going to go there. That'll cause me more problems than I already have. But let's see what else is going on in the news today. Should we take a look at it? Got a lot coming out this week. It's going to be a busy week in news. Not for the folks that worked at Yellow Freight because they all got pink slips this week. 30,000 workers. We're going to talk about that. What does that mean to our economy? We'll talk about that when we come back and talk about the Mortgage Minute. We're going to also chat about pricing your house right. It still matters even today. How cash-only spending affects your FICO score. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis. rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Are you paying rent because you cannot afford to live in your dream home? Are you paying rent because you don't believe you have the down payment funds to purchase your own home? At Siegel Lending Team at ronismylender.com has up to $25,000 to help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. Contact the Siegel Lending Team today at ronismylender.com. Again, ronismylender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037. ronismylender.com.
Homeowners over the age of 62 are taking back financial control after retirement with reverse mortgages, and the Siegel Lending Team is here to help you use it to your advantage. Call Ron Siegel with Geneva Financial to receive your free information booklet with no obligation. The booklet answers all your questions, and the best part is you still own your home. Call Ron Siegel at 1-800-306-1990 or visit ronsiegelradio.com.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. ronismylender.com. Again, ronismylender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. Make the call, 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. Every day at this time, OPMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, and timely and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates across with consumers across 42% of all mortgage transactions. Remember, these are the locked rates only. These, we don't know APR, we don't know points paid, we don't know points received. This is just locked rates. 30-year conforming up 6.882. 30-year jumbo up 7.338.
Such an idiot.
Wrong message. Ow! Yeah, that's painful. 30-year FHA, 6.784. 30-year USDA, those of you in the rural areas, generally no down payment, 6.813. Best loan on the market, the VA loan, 6.612 is where that one was on the 30-year. Now let's take a look and see what's going on today in the markets. Watching for you all the time. We watch all these different numbers. The 10-year Treasury down 1 basis point. S&P 500 is now down 1.01. Mortgage-backed securities are up 9 basis points. What's driving all this? All that stuff is found on the super secret website, google.com. Not going to get a whole lot of real activity in the markets. You may get some fluctuations here and there. But remember, when you get a week like this, when there's a lot of data coming out, the markets tend to just kind of muddy along until the data is released. And this is the earning or the jobs week. So we're going to get the job opening and labor transition report tomorrow. We'll get the ADP private sector earnings on Wednesday. We're going to get the BLS, not the BS, but the BLS jobs report will come out, and the household survey will come out on Friday. A lot of data coming out. Probably a little bit too soon for the news from Yellow to hit the markets. Yeah, Yellow. We used to call them Yellow Freight until they merged, and they brought in Yellow Freight and Roadway and several others. Well, those company, Yellow, just filed bankruptcy. Why? Well, guess who gets to pay for the bankruptcy first off? Look in the mirror. Now, about $700 million they got in COVID relief. $700 million. Guess who loses out on that first? Yeah, the American taxpayer. And they tried to refinance their debt. Guess what happened on that one, Jerome Powell?
Such an idiot.
Yes, he is an idiot. Hasn't figured out that all of the things that the Federal Reserve is doing with interest rates, we haven't even felt it all yet. So all these people that you listen to, the talking heads, the economy is great because the employment market is still doing really, really well. Well, I told you in the last segment, Anaheim's trying to kill their employment in the entertainment sector. A bunch of idiots there. They're right down the street from where we broadcast in the morning. There's a nice piece of land that'll be coming up for sale if this bill goes through. Those of you that might have enjoyed at any point in time an entertainment center called Camelot, yeah, they'll probably go in at $25 an hour for staffing. It's going to probably go the same way as the people that make guacamole at Chipotle. Yeah, gone. So we're going to watch all of those things for you. The Fed, they keep getting more and more aggressive on their tightening. Last week, they raised a quarter. We expected that. We expect another quarter later this year. They're just not watching what's going on. Bank of Japan, they've been trying to manage their interest rates. How's that working out for you, socialists? Zillow, does anybody believe Zillow anymore? Well, they still got a good market share. Zillow reported that through June, home values have increased 4.8% this year. Extrapolating that over the course of the full year, 2023, means home values are on pace for almost 10% appreciation. Can you hear us, Chapman University? They're not going down 11%. Zillow forecasts home values will rise 6.3% over the next 12 months. From June of 2023 to June of 2024, they also predict that 48 of the nation's 200 largest markets will see increases of 7% or greater. Are you still waiting for home prices to come down so you can buy a new house? That's another one that's going to bite you in the rear end. Why would home prices come down? What's going to be the catalyst for home prices to come down? Can you say nothing? That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. Make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And if you want to get the early view of our market update, generally sometime around 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast time, we send out a 1 or 2 page update on what we're seeing in the markets. Yes, I have no life, so we do get that out fairly early in the morning. You can get that if you want. It's free, rsrmarketminute.com, rsrmarketminute.com. Let's chat with our guests now that I've been talking for the last too many minutes. We've got Jim Norton, Blake Vartanian in the office, in the studio with us this morning, chatting about real estate. And I'll throw it out to either one of you. Who should be
Jim will go first.
Jim will go first. Okay, the square root of 607.
2.
You knew it had to be a math question.
There you go. So what's the catalyst for prices dropping?
There is no catalyst for price dropping. You know, it's interesting. You had OBMMI, if I did that, OBP, whatever it is.
OBMMI, yeah.
Okay. If you go to the chart on that website and you close everything but the 30-year, the basic 30-year mortgage, and you watch
all of them are basic 30-year mortgage.
But you put, yeah, I know.
Jumbo, FHA, VA, which
take out all the others, turn everybody off, and then turn it to 2 years. Go out as far as it can.
Okay.
And then you start to look at it, and you realize that mentally we look at the dip to 3%.
Right.
We look at that, and it's actually an anomaly in the regular. It's really been about 6-7% for a longer period of time than any other area of interest rates. So interest rates, everybody's looking for a catalyst, like interest rates are going to collapse the market. They're going to do that. People are adjusting to interest rates in a lot better manner. So that's why things are selling still, at least in Southern California. Houses are still selling, and they're
so you think people are adjusting to
rising.
interest rates?
Pardon?
You think people are adjusting to interest rates?
Oh, I definitely do. I mean, personally, I'd love to see them be around 5.5%. I've always said that. I think that's going to really help. But the homes that are coming on the market, somebody comes on the market, they say, oh, that home's not going to sell. Within 90 days, that home's gone. And people are adjusting. They're coming up with a bigger down. They're not, maybe they're delaying maybe what they've had in mind of doing some improvements when they bought the house. They're going to live it the way it is, and they're selling. So we're not seeing a drop in. We just don't have enough inventory still. We still have an inventory problem. But
so the question that I would throw at you is: are they adjusting or are they surviving because they have no choice in anything else to do?
That's a.
I mean, if you
an unrealistic question, not unrealistic.
No,
but I mean,
but the reason I throw that out there
that's an opinionated question of which way you want to look at it. I mean, you could never get the answer to that. But I think
let me throw
adjusting.
Let me throw this to you. People are they don't have a choice. Some of them are graduating from high school, some are from college. Some are getting married.
Right.
Some are having babies.
Right.
Some are getting divorced.
The 60s.
Right.
Right.
Those are all catalysts. Those are people that almost have to buy something or rent something or get something to put over their head other than the Coleman tent.
If you want to look at it from that position, you have to say that the catalyst that's driving the market. The inventory is able to handle the catalyst. You know what I'm saying? There's a match there's a balance in that right now.
Doesn't inventory always match the catalyst by with price going up or down to meet that
right? But
balance?
there's no additional inventory coming on the market for people that are looking to change. There is no more. I mean, nobody's dropping their 3% interest rate because they want to move to a different house and take on 6%.
That's exactly my point.
We've had that conversation before.
Yeah, people aren't moving because they want to. The only reason they're moving is because they have to.
They have to, or changes. So like you said, let's just say catalyst. The catalyst has come into it. And so that's balancing the market right now. So what's coming on the market is being sold. The problem is that if you're complaining about affordability in Southern California, that is low inventory is causing that, not the interest rates. Interest rates are saying there are no affordable buyers.
Well, interest rates are 1/3 of affordability.
Right. But the other 2/3 are inventory. You got to go ahead of inventory to keep the prices down.
We're gonna have to share this with you though, Jim.
Okay.
So you got 1/3 is just from affordability.
That's 2/3. I had 3/3. Wait a minute. Watch out.
What's 2/3?
I said 2/3 is inventory.
Okay. So what about income?
That doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. I guess the formula that says 1/3, you have to it accounts for
mortgages back again.
We're back to zero.
Did I miss the memo?
I love it when you go down you take it down a different hole. But the point is that
no, I'm just looking at because we do want to make sure that people understand how do you get affordability, and affordability is a calculation of wages, of interest, and property values.
Right, but
that is the affordability calculation.
My perspective as a realtor, the biggest problem of affordability is inventory and product available in certain price ranges. Nobody is building and nobody is selling the affordable product. I mean, if affordable product comes online, it's swept up by investors, by whoever's got cash.
Sure.
And so that's where the biggest problem. And then of course there's such regulations diminishing the amount of affordable product. You notice builders aren't running out to build it, even though there's a demand for it. They're not running out to build it. Why should they build it when they don't have to deal with the regulatory problems of it?
Well, the issue becomes, the regulation from my minimal knowledge, and you're the builder guy, not me, but if it costs you $25,000 for a permit, and I don't know, maybe you need 10 permits to build a house. I don't know the numbers, right? But if you're building a $400,000 house and you have 10 permits at $25,000 each, you've got $250,000 built into it. If you need 10 permits at $25,000 each on $1 million house, now instead of having 60% of your money tied up in permits, now you've got 25% of your money tied up in permits. Why would you want to build the affordable one when you can amortize that over a bigger number?
Exactly. They want there's
So the government says they want one thing, but their actions say they want something different.
Right. And then you start to say, well, we need more housing, so let's have more apartments. Now they want to have rent control. So why does anybody have what incentive is there to build an apartment when you're immediately put into rent control?
Well, I look at it, and I do a little bit of investing, and I look at it and say, why would anybody in their right mind want to be a real estate investor in Los Angeles County?
I agree. I don't know if
I'm actually surprised there hasn't been a greater exodus,
right,
than we've currently seen the transfer of wealth to the Inland Empire and to some in Orange County, but not at the levels that you would think.
Should be higher.
People, yeah.
Well, I don't think
especially
there's
go ahead.
ability to get an exodus when you're with everything that's regulatory on a building in Los Angeles. How can an owner exit it when there's no buyer?
Yeah, but you know something? We're going to talk about this when we come back, because one of the things that we see on a regular basis is generally, you follow the Warren Buffett rule, which says buy when there's blood in the streets. Well, if no one wants to own investment property in LA, you would think that there would be a fire sale, but there really isn't. Let's talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, let's also chat a little bit, if I can find my notes, pricing your house right. It still matters. We're going to talk about that. And if we get to it, how cash-only spending affects your FICO score. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
79% of all credit reports have errors that should be corrected through factual disputing. You could be saving thousands every year if your report was accurate. CreditSanitizer.com provides a free credit report audit when you furnish a specific $1 credit report. You can use this information to request corrections to your report and potentially save thousands of dollars. Get your free credit audit at CreditSanitizer.com. That's CreditSanitizer.com for a free credit report audit. CreditSanitizer.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Pricing your house right still matters today. While this isn't the frenzied market we saw during the unicorn years, homes that are priced right are still selling quickly and seeing multiple offers right now. That's because the number of homes for sale is still so low. Data from the National Association of Realtors, NAR, shows 76% of homes sold within a month, and the average saw 3.5 offers in June. To set yourself up to see advantages like these, you need to rely on an agent. Only an agent has the expertise needed to find the right asking price for your house. Here's what's at stake if that price is not accurate for today's market value. The price you set for your house sends a message to potential buyers. Price it too low, and you might raise questions about your home's condition or lead buyers to assume something is wrong with it. Not to mention, if you undervalue your house, you could leave money on the table, which decreases your future buying power. I don't know about that. On the other hand, price it too high, and you run the risk of deterring buyers from ever touring it in the first place. What happens? You may have to drop the price to try to reignite interest in your house when it sits on the market for a while. But be aware that a price drop can be seen as a red flag for some buyers who will wonder why the price was reduced and what that means about the home. A recent article from NerdWallet sums it up like this, quote, "Your house's market debut is your first chance to attract a buyer, and it's important to get the pricing right. If your home is overpriced, you run the risk of buyers not seeing the listing, but price your house too low, and you could end up leaving some serious money on the table. A bargain basement price could also turn some buyers away as they wonder if there are any underlying problems with the house, unquote. Think of pricing your home as a target. Your goal is to aim directly for the center, not too high, not too low, but right at the market value. Pricing your house fairly based on market conditions increases the chances you'll have more buyers who are interested in purchasing it. That makes it more likely you'll see multiple offers too. Plus, when homes are priced right, they still tend to sell quickly. To get a high-level look into potential downsides of over or underpricing your house and the perks that come along with the market value, we got a chart for you. Underpriced, they claim, leaves money on the table, deters skeptical buyers, decreases your future buying power. Market value attracts more buyers, could see multiple offers, faster sale. Overpriced, sits on the market longer, price drops can send the wrong message to buyers, prices out potential buyers. I agree with that one. Lean on a professional's expertise. You got to do that. Because here's the issue. You can go out there and price your property incorrectly. And I know why you're doing it. You just think you're going to save money. But you're not going to save money. You're going to end up costing yourself money. Here's the way to do this. And if you want to, I've actually done a video on it. rsrsalesmax.com. rsrsalesmax.com. We put out there 3 ways that you can maximize your selling price. rsrsalesmax.com. You can see exactly how to do it. 3 ways. Number 1 is you can do a non-distressed luxury auction. Number 2, you can, help support the buyer's payments. That would be called a payment assistance plan. And number 3, greed. Greed's not bad. You increase the commission for the buyer's agent and watch the frenzy that happens. Not going from 2.5 to 3. I say go 4% on the buyer's agent commission. Do you know who that's going to attract? Every buyer's agent in the market. They're going to look for their clients. Don't overprice the property. Price the property at or below market value. The market will always bring a property, if it's marketed properly. I mean, if you keep it secret, no secret agents here. If you keep it secret, this doesn't work. But if you market that property properly, easy for me to say, you're going to get a bidding war going, and it's going to bring the property to market value or above because of having the right strategies. rsrsalesmax.com. That is the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com. rsrmoney.com. Continue our conversation this morning. We have Blake Vartanian and Jim Norton, Realty Pro 100, are in studio with us. And we never know what direction we're going because our preparation time for radio is you're on air now and get going. So we go down a lot of different rabbit trails when we're chatting. But we were talking about before the break, we were talking about the Los Angeles market. Why is anybody in their right mind buying a investment property in Los Angeles County? Why haven't the market value? You would think that property values would be plummeting based on the regulation of LA. What do you think?
In order to have property values plummet, you have to have people selling, and nobody's buying, nobody's selling. So it's just a status quo. I would first have to look into is see how many buildings are either outright owned, are paid, how low they're paid down. That would probably be one of the factors, as opposed to San Francisco, where that's blood in the streets. That's completely there. The prices are collapsing and everything. So
I've seen some of that lately.
Maybe it's just the fact that San Francisco's a year ahead of LA. It could be that.
That could be.
And we just haven't started to see the break yet. But right now, there's just nobody leaving LA because there's nobody buying LA. And that's why everybody's in the surrounding areas.
Let's put Jim Norton as a hedge fund manager. Would you go and buy in San Francisco, or would you be buying in Los Angeles? Based on if property values start plummeting, do you think it's going to be a market cycle change?
I just had this conversation with my son the other day, We were watching something.
We're not going to call you daddy.
No, we're not going to call you. Call me daddy. He doesn't either.
I might.
But the point was, is we were
Okay.
watching.
I've known him a long time.
We were watching. I forgot what show it was, but they were showing Detroit.
Okay.
And you're looking at it. We were commenting saying, if there's so much available empty space and land in downtown area Detroit, why isn't anybody moving in, picking it up for cheap, and then building something?
I've seen where you could buy a whole block in Detroit for $5,000.
Right. So
Yeah, I've seen that going on.
Yeah.
But nobody's doing it. So is that the same situation where you're going to say, well, wait a minute, you could buy up San Francisco, but the regulations and the problems are not going to go away. It's not going to make it easy to bring that product back online. In a given
Almost have to
manner.
do it as a long-term hold.
Yeah, I think
Could you imagine holding again. That's always your comment. Holding something with no price appreciation and equity. Equity makes you zero
Right,
money.
no rate of return.
Yeah, zero rate of return. So I don't know. That's a good question. Are we watching?
That's why I get to be the host and ask you guys, the experts here. Go ahead, Blake.
Well, in a more balanced market, you're going to have the focus on location as the three key elements of establishing value. And I've always believed that in the absence of value, price becomes the issue. And price is the one thing that can fix everything about a house. If in the eyes of the buyer, the value isn't there, they're going to make their offer accordingly, and everyone's going to have their own opinion. I could show someone an investment opportunity like we did just before the 4th of July. I got a call on the units down, 3-unit property in Sunset Beach, and one of the investors we have passed on it, said, I don't see the opportunity there. Another investor is now in escrow and is going to close it. And it was an off-market offering from a longtime broker friend of mine who had a pocket listing. And so the buyers didn't have to compete with the entire market to be able to go and buy it. So we specialize in those kinds of properties. In fact, several of the transactions on our sales board right now are from people who the value was demonstrated to them of what their property could sell if they brought it on the market. But for whatever reason, they decided they didn't want to do that. So the belief that people aren't buying and selling real estate that's a fallacy. But people are buying in lower numbers because there's fewer properties available. And if the normal market took place, in other words, you had 8 or 9 or 10,000 Orange County active listings instead of 2,300 to 2,400, you might see, a different demand cycle. It doesn't mean that it would drop just because there's more inventory, because if we could get interest rates, moderated, about a third of the properties are owned without a mortgage. So those people aren't worried about a mortgage. They're not looking for mortgage money. But it does have a stifling impact when the family creation. So a family starting off and they go to the marketplace and they go, I got to pay $1 million for a starter home in, let's say, Yorba or Placentia, roughly $1 million. And then I'm going to have a 7.5% mortgage, as opposed to 2 years ago, I could have bought that property at $850 or $900 and had a 2.5 or 3% mortgage. There's a big difference in the payment, and there's a big difference in the psychology behind it. And
is there really though, Blake? Because I'm going to throw this at you.
Well, because agents today don't know how to make it less significant. Because any agent who's gotten licensed in the last 10 or 11 years has never dealt with a mortgage environment at 7%.
Sure.
Guys like me, I started in 1981. Interest rates were 17, 18, 19%. You could literally buy your house on your credit card almost for the same interest payment.
Sure.
Right. And so today, how you package that and show people their after-tax opportunities, the long-term trend, like your information that you always provide people, where you show that only 2 times in recent history, 40 or 50 years, did the market actually drop during a recession.
Right.
It was 91 and 2008, right?
Sure.
I think that's
real estate-led recessions.
And they were just small. And they were just small. Those were, in the relative time of 40 years, those were small, short periods of time. They had major impacts on the people who were affected. but those passed. I mean, and then we put out the chart last week that showed that no time in history has there been in Southern California real estate, has there been a 10-year trend where the property was worth less 10 years after you bought it.
True.
Right.
That's never happened.
So one of the things I want to talk about when we come back is you made a comment about the interest rates and property values, but you'd also discussed about the household formation.
Yes.
So I want to talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, yes, we're going to talk about, those people that are creating their new household, new family, they're having kids or practicing. One of the other, but we're going to talk about all that. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Is your budget getting blown up with high prices of gas and increased costs for other household needs? This is Ron Siegel, host of the daily Home and Finance radio program. Did you know if you have a low interest rate mortgage along with auto debt, credit card debt, or student loans, your family could potentially save $500 or more per month by restructuring these debts? If you'd like a free Borrow Smart analysis with our team, let's book an appointment to see how we might be able to relieve some stress. Schedule your appointment at rsrbsa.com. That's rsrbsa.com for your free Borrow Smart analysis. rsrbsa.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And because I talk too much, how cash-only spending affects your FICO score will be tomorrow. But I will tell you the Borrow Smart segment is brought to you by rsrstudentloanhelp.com, rsrstudentloanhelp.com. There are 11 different programs that are already passed into law. Mr. President, that's how we do this in this country. It's not all by executive order. Already passed into law. I consulted with an individual last week, I think it was Thursday or Friday, $30,000 in student loan debt. One of the programs out there would cut it in half, save $174 a month just by following the laws that are on the books. Not trying to avoid their obligation, just following the rules. rsrstudentloanhelp.com, rsrstudentloanhelp.com. Continue our conversation this morning. We've got Blake Vartanian, Jim Norton, Realty Pro 100. They are in the house just chatting here. A little bit of I would say a fireside chat, but it's too darn hot for fire. So maybe, and we don't have any alcohol, so it can't be a poolside.
Can't be a brandy chat.
Okay, so maybe it's water. I got water here. That doesn't count. So before the break, Blake, you made a comment about, people are still buying and I'll use the formal term. I think you used family formation. I just call it household formation, just because that's what the economists call it. And some people used to think I was going to be an economist. They thought wrong. So, the household formation, they're not really paying attention. They look at it and say, okay, I just got married. I'm going to have a baby. Maybe I don't want to talk about the order those things happen, but they're not worried about interest rates 2 years ago. They can't go backwards. They're not worried about home prices from 2 years ago. So they really don't have a choice. They have to look at today's rates and today's property if they want something other than the Coleman 10 to live in.
But that's logical as a real estate investor. That's the logic you want to do. You don't want to look at what you could have had or should have done. You want to look at what is ahead and what you can do with it. And that's why
current and forecast.
My recommendation, if somebody asks me what's the best time to buy, it's when you're ready to buy. And that is, if it's right now, then we deal with the conditions that there are. Because as you said before, if interest rates go down, you can refi. And we've all done that throughout our careers, and we've done well with it.
Thank goodness.
And you don't know what's going to be tomorrow. It could be up, it could be down. I mean, if we had that crystal ball, we wouldn't be talking on radio. We'd be in Tahiti.
Right.
Okay. So the point is what you know today is the only information that is solid, 100%. Tomorrow it's going to be different. Yesterday it was different. You can't go backwards, like you said. So why bother? But also you can't predict the future. So why today is the day you can know everything that you can deal with when you're buying a
Make a
house.
business decision based on
your
what
costs.
current environment.
The past sale price has no bearing really on the future sales price because it's the two people in the transaction,
Sure.
right? And so
Sure.
if the person has the equity and the desire to move, they might take something that's lower. And this was first proven to me in 1982 when my first broker, we had an investor walk in the office and he said, I want to make a 50% offer on every single listing your company has in its inventory. And I was on the floor and I was like, I don't think so. I don't want to present those offers to my client. And my broker came out and said, we're going to do it. And we actually ended up selling one of the properties on it because the people needed the money to pay their property taxes. Now, did we benefit from that? I guess we sold a property representing the client and the client made their decision about whether they wanted to sell it or not.
Sure.
Right? All of my
reasons.
listings, they were immediately, no, I'm not selling it for that because I explained I have to present it under state law. And you decide whether you want it or not. The biggest thing right now in the United States is that you have all of these big companies, Black Knight, et cetera, that are buying thousands and thousands of homes a month across the country. And they're converting those to rental properties, therefore taking those properties off the market for people to buy. And they're competing with other potential buyers in the market. They have these massive funds coming out of Wall Street that they can afford to overpay and still benefit from it. I mean, we've seen some of the tech companies overpay for property because they'll buy it for 1.3 million, turn around and sell it for 1.2 million because they expense out on the 1.3 million side, and then they have new revenue at 1.2 million that's traded at a 6, 7, or 8 times multiplier. So they play a little math game that's kind of it's not legitimate.
Yeah, most of my clients do that.
Well, yeah, but individuals don't, right?
Exactly.
But within the marketplace, there's about 4 million households that are short in the creation of housing units to have what they would call a balanced market in the United States. So I'm not saying they're all in Southern California. I don't know what percentage are in Southern California, but we certainly see if something's priced right, it's going to get a lot more interest than something that's overpriced. And if it's slightly below market, the buyers are going to come in much larger numbers because there's a perceived value there that they want to see if they'll be able to get a deal.
So why would somebody, Blake, I want to throw this at you because you made a comment in the last segment. Why would that individual, what's a catalyst for an individual property owner to say, you know something, I don't want to have my property put on the market. I'd rather do an off-market transaction?
Well, so in some cases, they don't want their neighbors to know. They don't want people coming through their house. They're afraid of being robbed. They're afraid of, whatever their issue is. I'm not advocating it. I'm just saying that's what.
No, that's what I was wondering is what if I was this
So,
seller, why might I consider doing an off market versus doing?
Well, we had a situation in Anaheim a couple of years ago where a gentleman was in his 80s and his children were fighting over his property, and he didn't want a sign in the yard because he said then when the kids came over, they would be angry and they would be fighting amongst themselves for what's his money.
Sure.
He says, I'm still alive. It's my money and I want to move.
Okay.
And some people don't want the fluctuation that can occur when it gets into the MLS, and you get a bevy of investors that are lowballing, and then they start to distract from you. So it's just too much information being thrown at them when they want the deal, and it's like they say, okay, I want $750,000 for my house, which would be a great price, and then and they're agreeable to that, and then you say, well, agent 2 has a buyer and they have 750, and it's just the simplicity of the transaction.
Okay.
Otherwise, the amount of knowledge that can go on is very confusing. And I can understand why some people just want to avoid that.
So, I mean, my first purchase in 1979, interest rates were around 12 or 13% on their way up.
Sure.
So they were going to 18, 19%. And my brother and I decided, instead of each of us going and renting a place, we put our money together and we bought our first property together. And it gave us the ability to invest in real estate at an early age. And I would suggest to parents who are thinking about sending their kids off to college and paying huge amounts of, rent, is if you're going to do something like that, sit down with a real estate professional and look at what it would cost to actually buy the real estate, have 3 or 4 people live with them during the 4 years or whatever they're going to college, and see if there's an upside. Because I know around colleges, my grandfather started investing over by Cal State Fullerton in 1968 when it was a very small campus relative to what it is today. And he built an actual empire that today, if he still owned all of it, it'd be worth over $1 billion in today's valuation, between the land and the apartment buildings, starting with 4 units going to 1,600 over his lifetime, playing Monopoly and putting every dime back into it. Now, you don't have to have that kind of meteoric and unrealistic success that most people are never going to enjoy, but he taught us how to look at investment property and how to value it and how to show other people how to build a retirement where they can have between $8 to $10 million comfortably from just starting with one single unit. But it all starts with a conversation, and we're willing to do those consultations without any obligation, because educating everyone on it to me is really important, because most people don't look at real estate from the right perspective as to what their future could look like. And now that I'm getting closer to, a lot closer to retirement age than I am to the start of my career, I wish I'd bought every piece of real estate that I had a chance to along the way.
Or even hold it, right?
Even held it. Yeah.
And we've talked about that many, many times on Ron Siegel Radio. The idea here is get started wherever you are. Get started, buy, hold, add. There's a lot of different methods, and Blake hit it right on the head. It's all about education. We started this radio program back in 2010 with the idea just of educating. And, you just got the offer right there from somebody that's been doing this for now into his 2nd century of doing this kind of real estate investing. If you want to have a private consultation, give me a call. I'd be happy to put you in touch with Blake Vartanian, Jim Norton. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean, who are engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime. 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.